Hello and welcome back to Warcraft Daily for today, the 14th of May 2014, and we've actually got some great news today. At least they have revealed that they're going to be making a few very important changes in patch 5.4.8, and then they also hinted at a new mount, so I'll be covering all these things. But first of all, just to get it out of the way, there was a hotfixed buff to Retribution Paladins. It means that Sword of Light will now increase healing done by Word of Glory by 60% up from 30. Now that that's out of the way, let's first talk about this new mount. We have no idea where it's going to come from, honestly. At all. It could be... well, I don't think it could be Recruit a Friend, because the last mount that they teased was, well, specifically mentions it being something that you would use with friends. This, however, it's a Silithid style mount. Does that mean that it could be on the store? I suppose so. I mean, the Iron Sky Reaver was 1 or 2 months ago, or 2 or 3 months ago at this stage, so I suppose it would be time enough for them to add a new mount. It's still, I'm still not 100% cool with the idea of adding mounts in a period where there isn't really any new content on the horizon or much like that, but... let's just talk about the mount model itself. I think it's really cool. I like the way it is, yes, a Silithid, but it's all padded out with armor and a little bit of decor to it. And of course, unlike the previous Silithid mounts in the game, it's very high quality. It's, it's got just better textures. I think its wings definitely benefit from the work that they had to do on the Klaxi people, and overall, it is looking quite good. Now, I do think it's a Silithid mount, but it could also be those Ravagers that you found in Outland, so perhaps they're actually tweeting out teasers of some of the new mounts in Warlords of Draenor. I suppose that would make sense, and you remember those Ravager things? They were hanging out in Hellfire Peninsula. Yeah, one of those. It kind of looks like that to me. So I'm not 100% sure. It could be one of those, could be a Silithid. Do we know where it's going to come from? No. No, we don't. So there's not really much else that I can say about it. Okay, next, actually one little update to the Artcraft post. They've confirmed that the female Night Elves will have more canine-like fangs. They've got two little, well, fang thingies. Not that big, but I guess that does fit in with the proper lore of the Night Elf. That was something which honestly I wasn't aware of, and now I am aware of it, and it's great that they're keeping that attention to detail, because from what I heard, the forums kind of exploded about the idea. Gotta say though, that's, the model for the new female Night Elf is looking fantastic. Really is a great model. The one thing, actually, this is just a general thing, and I don't know how they'd fix it, but there are some cases when the eyebrows go through the hair, and I don't know how they'd fix that, because it kind of looks weird. Yeah, bizarre. Actually, it would be kind of impractical having eyebrows like that, and then having hair at the same time. So that's a little bit weird. But finally, let's talk about the new patch 5.4.8 stuff. Now, this all ties into Valor, but item upgrades in Valor, but there are two different things that are going on. First of all, item upgrades are being expanded. Currently, we have 2 item level upgrades that we can apply for a total of 500 Valor or 250 per upgrade. That is being extended to give us an additional 2, so you'll be able to get a total of 16 more item levels on a piece of gear, and if you currently have a 2-2 bit of gear, well, you'll be able to get an extra 8 item levels on a piece of gear like that. And that, of course, is at a total cost of 1,000 Valor points per item, so that's quite a increase in power every week, guaranteed as a baseline. Pretty interesting stuff, actually, and it's going to make us a lot more powerful. And just before I get into the more discussion part of this, it's also worth saying that the Garrosh heirlooms are going to be 8 item upgrade or item levels higher than they currently are, and the legendary cloak is going to have the extra 2 item level upgrade thingies added to it in terms of its capability, but it won't actually be upgraded for you. So when the patch drops, your cloak will be 2 out of 4, and you'll need to do the final 2 upgrades yourself. Okay, so what do I think about this? Well, it is clearly it's clearly for 2 reasons. The first reason they're doing this is because they want to give guilds that are struggling or something like that a little bit of a kind of push, a bit of a kick, a bit of help in a way. And I think that this is, in terms of game design, a nicer way of making a boss easier than a flat-out nerf or an instance-wide buff. That's what they've previously done, and it feels like Blizzard are either moving the goalposts or just sort of taking pity on you. And that never feels good at all. In any way, it just doesn't feel good to anyone. They always like to feel like, you know, your success is based on what you personally have done and the power that you have acquired. Well, these additional item level upgrades are things that you will acquire yourself. It means that power comes from you, it's your own progression, and I think should feel less cheap and nerfy than perhaps just a flat out nerf to the Siege of Orgrimmar. I think that really is a good way of doing it. Now, of course, another reason why they're doing this instead of just a flat out nerf is because it adds gameplay and it adds time to the game. Right now we're at a stage where there's not a great deal going on in the Siege of Orgrimmar. There are certainly a few guilds who are still progressing their way slowly and steadily, but really there's not much new happening, and they want to give people reasons to play the game. This is a giant reason to play the game. We've got, what, 16 slots? And it's going to take it's 1,000 Valor per slot if you're starting off with no upgrades, so it's going to take you 16 weeks to upgrade every bit of gear, or if you are, like many people, already fully upgraded, then it will take you 8 weeks to further upgrade everything on a single character. So that's going to add more gameplay, it's going to add more time, and I suppose it's just going to keep people playing World of Warcraft for whatever reason. And I know that does sound a bit cynical, but at the end of the day, that's just how game design sometimes is. You nearly just have to kind of do window dressing on flat-out raw numbers and things like that. So, yeah, look, it's interesting. Plus, I suppose another drawback of doing a zone-wide nerf right now is that it would catapult a lot of guilds through very quickly, and then in maybe 2 weeks' time, when they've all cleared the place because of the nerfs, there would be absolutely nothing. At least this will act as a step-by-step nerf, because people can't get all the item upgrades at once. They can only get 4 upgrades per week, since it's 250 an upgrade. So it's going to take you quite a long time to actually get the full extent of this, sort of air quotes, nerf. Interesting way of doing it, and I think it's right. Now, the other thing that they're doing in regards to Valor, which will support this, is that they are adding a new token called Deeds of Valor. This will cost 3,000 timeless coins and can be used to grant your character 100 VP. And you can buy it from Mistweaver Eye in the Timeless Isles of the Celestial Court. You know the place. Now, these tokens won't allow you to go above your current weekly cap, but it's just another way of you getting gear. Now, that's... look, because of that pricing, it's not really worth getting when you think about it. It just isn't worth really bothering with. Of course, if you are running around, like on my main, with 60,000 timeless coins, then sure, Deeds of Valor is great, and that's probably what I'll do in my main, because I just don't really feel like playing that character when I've got some other new characters to play. Of course, if you have the Valor buff, then that will get you 150 Valor rather than 100, which certainly does make it quite a bit more worthwhile. Still though, the fastest way to cap Valor, in my opinion, is to chain run heroic scenarios. That seems to be the best way of doing it, because you just get Valor so fast. Of course, sure, still do your Epoch Stone quest and your daily quests with Emperor Xiaohao, but you get, I think, 150 Valor for your very first one of the day, and then each subsequent one, providing you complete the bonus objective, gives you 100 Valor. So, 10 heroic scenarios, and boom, there you go, job done. And the thing about a heroic scenario is, it's probably going to take 10 minutes, so, just over an hour of gameplay, maybe an hour and a half, and that should be you done. If you want to know a way of getting into those heroic scenarios easily, well, I'd say either, of course, trade chat, or you could get OQ. A lot of people seem to be running heroic scenarios in OQ. However, there are definitely 1 or 2 people who seem to make a heroic scenario group with an item level requirement of 560. I don't know why people do that. It makes no sense at all. And personally, I think that if you're, like, I don't know, above 480 or 490, then you're probably fine as long as you're competent. So, yeah, a bit weird. Still, though, that's what's going on. And, yeah, very interesting stuff. I think it makes sense. Though, I suppose that, look, there's going to be a lot of people on the forums just saying, oh, Blizzard, you're being cynical and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. I suppose they are doing it for those reasons, but also I think it's a better way of doing things in terms of game design. Of course, it is a bit crazy and being able to get a bit of LFR gear and then item level upgrade it to the point where it's more powerful than just a regular flexible piece of gear. And one of the reasons why the gaps in item levels between our various difficulty modes of raiding, the reason for those gaps is because Blizzard actually wanted item level upgrades to still not really make one level of difficulties gear potentially better than another. That's now being broken. Though I think it's okay, because it's been 6 or 7 or maybe even 8 months. 7 months. Yeah, 7 months, it doesn't matter. They can go ahead and do this. In Warlords, there are going to be no item level upgrades, so perhaps the item level gap between tiers and that kind of thing could be a little bit smaller. They'll only have to account for Warforged. Actually, yeah, if you get a Warforged heroic bit of gear, damn, that thing is going to be... Well, what's heroic? Heroic's like 570 nearly? Yeah, I think it's around 570, no, it's 569 or 8, plus 16, that's 586, so yeah, that's a very big item level. Anyway, that's it for today's show. Interesting enough stuff. If you are currently raiding in a guild that's maybe sort of slowly but surely progressing through the Siege of Orgrimmar, what do you think about this change? Do you think it's preferable to have the increase in power relative to the boss be from yourselves rather than just be from a flat-out nerf from Blizzard? I'd be interested to know. Anyway, that's it for the show. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.